The day I signed the papers for the abandoned yacht was one of those moments you dream about. A chance to own something extraordinary, something that felt like a ticket to freedom. My name's Ethan, and I'm a mechanic in my late 30s, living in a coastal town called Bayview Shores, a place where the salty breeze carries the promise of adventure. My wife, Sarah, and I had been saving for years, not for a house or a fancy car, but for something that spoke to our souls. A boat. Not just any boat, but a 42-foot yacht, left to rot in a marina slip after its previous owner went bankrupt. It was a fixer-upper, rusted and neglected, but I saw potential in its weathered hull. A project to share with our teenage daughter Lily, who'd inherited my love for tinkering. The marina sold it cheap, and the HOA that governed Bayview's waterfront properties had no claim over it since it was registered as personal property, not real estate. Or so I thought. The yacht was moored in a private slip I'd leased, tucked away at the edge of the marina, far from the HOA's manicured lawns and nosy oversight. I imagined weekends sanding decks, rewiring systems, and teaching Lily how to navigate. But when I returned to start renovations, I found something that turned my dream into a nightmare. Karen's family, living inside my yacht like they owned it. Bayview Shores was a picturesque community, all pastel beach houses and palm-lined streets, but its HOA was infamous. Run by Karen Mitchell, a woman in her 50s with a perm as tight as her grip on power, the HOA policed everything from fence heights to the color of your mailbox. Sarah and I had moved here 5 years ago, drawn by the small-town vibe and the marina's promise of water access. We rented a modest bungalow, nothing fancy, but it was home. Karen had welcomed us with a saccharine smile and a binder of rules thicker than a phone book. "We keep things orderly here," she'd said, her eyes scanning our moving boxes like a hawk. I nodded politely, figuring we'd fly under the radar. But Karen had a reputation. Neighbors whispered about her fining people for unapproved flower beds or parking RVs too long. I'd heard stories of her barging into backyards, citing violations with glee. Still, I thought the yacht would be my escape, a floating sanctuary outside her reach. The yacht, named Sea Haven by its former owner, was a mess when I bought it. Barnacles clung to the hull, the interior smelled of mildew, and the wiring was a fire hazard. But I'm a hands-on guy. I'd restored old cars in my garage, and this was just a bigger challenge. I spent weeks researching marine repairs, watching YouTube tutorials, and sketching plans with Lily. She was 15, all enthusiasm and questions, sketching designs for new cushions while I tackled the engine. Sarah, ever practical, budgeted our savings to cover parts and slip fees. "This is our family project," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Let's make it ours." I'd visit the yacht every few days, checking for leaks or vandalism, but it stayed untouched, a ghost ship in the marina's quiet corner. That is, until the day I showed up with my toolbox and found the hatch ajar, laughter echoing from inside. I climbed aboard, heart pounding, expecting vandals or squatters. Instead, I found Karen's family. Her husband, Greg, a paunchy guy in a polo shirt, was sprawled on the faded saloon couch, sipping a beer. Their 2 college-aged kids, Brittany and Kyle, were rifling through the galley, tossing out moldy cushions like they were redecorating. Karen herself stood at the helm, flipping through my repair notes with a sneer. "What the hell is this?" I demanded, my voice sharper than I meant. Karen spun around, not a trace of guilt. "Oh, Ethan, good. We're just inspecting this eyesore." The HOAs had complaints about an abandoned vessel lowering property values. I blinked, stunned. Abandoned? I own this yacht. I bought it last month. "This is my slip, my property." Karen's smile was pure venom. "The marina's under HOA oversight. Unmaintained boats are a violation. We're taking possession until it's fixed." I felt my fists clench. Greg smirked, muttering something about community standards. Brittany chimed in, "It's like totally gross in here. We're doing you a favor." I wanted to scream. This wasn't their boat, their slip, or their business. I'd checked the HOA bylaws. They had no jurisdiction over personal vessels, only the marina's common areas. But Karen was relentless, citing a vague aesthetic clause and claiming they'd secure the yacht to protect the community. I stormed off, calling Sarah as I paced the dock. "They're living in it, Sarah, like it's their summer home." She was furious but calm. "Get proof, Ethan. Then we fight." That night, I pulled out the yacht's title, my purchase agreement, and the marina lease. Everything was in my name, clear as day. But Karen's audacity lit a fire in me. This wasn't just about the yacht. It was about her thinking she could take what wasn't hers. I spent the next few days gathering evidence. I took photos of Karen's family lounging on Sea Haven, their SUV parked nearby with beach chairs spilling out. I recorded audio of Kyle bragging to friends about crashing on a yacht for free. The marina manager, a gruff guy named Dave, confirmed the HOA had no right to board private vessels. "Karen's been pulling this crap for years," he said, shaking his head. "She thinks she owns the whole waterfront." I reached out to a lawyer friend, Mike, who specialized in maritime law. He laughed when I told him the story. "They're trespassing, Ethan, and if they've damaged anything, you've got a case." Sarah and I sat Lily down, explaining the situation. Her face fell. "They're in our boat? That's our project." Her anger mirrored mine. This yacht wasn't just a purchase. It was a promise, a family dream to rebuild something together. Karen was stealing that. The emotional toll hit hard. I'd lie awake, replaying Karen's smug face, worrying about the yacht's condition. What if they broke something critical? We'd sunk $20,000 into the purchase, money we'd scraped together from overtime and skipped vacations. Sarah noticed Lily withdrawing, her sketches abandoned on her desk. "We can't let her win," Sarah said one night, her voice fierce. "This is about more than the boat now." I nodded, feeling the weight of it. My dad had been a mechanic too, teaching me to fix things with my hands, to take pride in making broken things whole. I wanted that for Lily, a legacy of resilience. Karen wasn't just trespassing on our property. She was trespassing on our family's future. By the end of the week, I had a plan. Mike drafted a cease and desist letter, demanding Karen's family vacate the yacht or face legal action for trespassing and property damage. I posted no trespassing signs on the dock and installed a cheap security camera, streaming to my phone. Dave agreed to keep an eye out, warning Karen that the marina would back me, not her. But I knew she wouldn't go quietly. Sure enough, the next day, I got an HOA notice, a $500 fine for unauthorized modifications to the yacht, my new signs, and a demand to surrender the vessel for community inspection. It was laughable, but it stoked my anger. I wasn't just going to get them off my boat. I was going to make Karen regret ever stepping aboard. Karen's audacity was like a match to dry kindling. After her family's invasion of Sea Haven, my yacht, I was done playing nice. I stood on the dock the next morning, staring at the boat's weathered hull, now littered with Karen's family's junk, beach towels, empty soda cans, a folding chair wedged against the railing. My stomach churned. This wasn't just a violation. It was personal. Sarah and I had poured our hearts into this project, and Lily had been sketching designs for the cabin, dreaming of our first sail. Now, Karen's kids were treating it like a frat house. I snapped photos of the mess, my hands shaking with anger. "We're not letting this go," I told Sarah over breakfast. She nodded, her jaw tight. "We need to hit back smart, Ethan, legal and airtight." Lily overheard, her eyes fierce. "They're ruining our boat, Dad. Make them leave." Her words steeled me. This was about more than property. It was about protecting our family's dream. I called Mike, my lawyer friend, and laid out the evidence: photos, audio of Kyle bragging, the yacht's title, and the marina lease. He was blunt. Karen's got no legal ground. The HOA can't touch personal property like a vessel in a private slip. But she'll fight dirty. Expect it. He suggested filing a formal trespassing complaint with the marina and the local police. But first, we'd serve the cease and desist letter. Mike drafted it that day, a 2-page document demanding Karen's family vacate Sea Haven within 48 hours, or face a lawsuit for trespassing, property damage, and emotional distress. I hand-delivered it to Karen's house, a pristine beachfront McMansion with perfectly trimmed hedges. She answered the door, her smile as fake as ever. "Ethan, this is unnecessary," she said, skimming the letter. "The HOA's just ensuring marina standards." I cut her off. "It's my yacht, Karen. Get out, or we're going to court." Her eyes narrowed, but she shut the door without another word. The next day, I checked the yacht. They were still there, Greg lounging on deck, Brittany blasting music from a portable speaker. My camera caught it all, including Kyle tossing a beer bottle into the water. I sent the footage to Mike and Dave, the marina manager. Dave was livid. "Littering's a finable offense, and they're not even leaseholders here." He issued a marina warning, citing unauthorized occupancy, and copied the HOA board. But Karen retaliated. An HOA email blast went out accusing me of endangering community aesthetics with an unmaintained vessel. She claimed the yacht was a public nuisance and demanded a $1,000 fine unless I surrendered it for inspection. It was a power play, pure and simple. Sarah read the email and laughed bitterly. "She's delusional. Let's show her who's boss." I started rallying allies. Bayview Shores wasn't huge, about 60 homes, but Karen's heavy-handed rules had made her plenty of enemies. I knocked on doors, starting with our neighbor, Rosa, a retired nurse who'd been fined for planting roses that weren't HOA approved. She was furious about the yacht situation. "Karen's been lording over us for years," she said. "Count me in." I created a group chat, adding Rosa, a young couple named Tim and Jess, who'd been hit with fines for their dogs barking, and a widower, Mr. Patel, who'd clashed with Karen over his vintage car parked in his driveway. Within days, we had 15 households, all sharing stories of her overreach. Tim had a recording of Karen threatening to tow his car. Jess had emails about non-compliant patio furniture. The anger was palpable, and I realized this fight could be bigger than just my yacht. Mike suggested a 2-pronged approach: protect Sea Haven and expose Karen's abuse of power. For the yacht, we filed a police report for trespassing, citing the footage and the cease and desist. An officer visited the marina, and I watched from a distance as he ordered Karen's family off the boat. Greg grumbled. Brittany whined, but they left, hauling their junk in garbage bags. The yacht was ours again, but the damage was done. Scratched wood, a broken cabinet, and a faint cigarette smell. Lily was heartbroken, running her hand over the scratches. "Why would they do this, Dad?" I hugged her, promising we'd fix it. But inside, I was seething. Karen had crossed a line, and I wasn't stopping at eviction. The second prong was going after the HOA itself. Rosa told me about a board meeting, where Karen had pushed through a rule giving the HOA oversight of marina aesthetics, a move that conveniently targeted my yacht. Mr. Patel dug into the HOA's financials, using his accounting background to spot irregularities. Thousands in consulting fees to a company linked to Karen's brother. "This is fishy," he said, emailing me bank statements he'd gotten through a public records request. Mike confirmed it could be grounds for a fraud investigation. We decided to force a special HOA meeting to challenge Karen's leadership. The bylaws required 40% of residents, 24 signatures, for a recall vote. Our group chat was buzzing, and by the end of the week, we had 30. Karen wasn't idle. She posted signs around the marina. "Keep our waterfront beautiful. Report violations." She even sent a letter claiming my yacht's condition violated state environmental laws, which Dave quickly debunked. "She's grasping," he said, but her tactics were working on some. A few neighbors, loyal to her, started giving us cold stares, parroting her line about protecting property values. It stung. Sarah and I had worked hard to fit in, hosting barbecues, helping with beach cleanups. Now, we were the troublemakers. The stress was wearing us down. Sarah snapped at me over small things, like forgetting to unload the dishwasher. Lily stopped talking about the yacht, her sketches buried under school books. I felt the weight of it all, our savings, our family's joy, teetering on the edge. But the group chat kept us going. Jess organized a Marina Unity night at her house, a potluck to rally support. Over 20 people came, bringing casseroles and stories of Karen's tyranny. Rosa shared how Karen's fines had forced her to skip medical checkups to afford them. Tim admitted he and Jess were considering moving. The room was raw with emotion, but also hope. We passed around the recall petition, explaining our plan: present the financial evidence, challenge the marina rules, and vote Karen out. Mr. Patel stood up, his voice steady. "This isn't just about Ethan's yacht. It's about our homes, our lives. Let's take back Bayview." The room erupted in applause, and for the first time, I felt we could win. As the meeting date approached, Karen escalated. She sent an HOA lawyer to inspect Sea Haven, claiming potential safety hazards. The lawyer, a slick guy in a suit, left after 10 minutes when I showed him the title and marina lease. But the harassment didn't stop. Karen's family started driving by our house, glaring. Once, Kyle parked across the street, blasting music until midnight. Sarah called the cops, who issued a warning. It was petty, but it showed how desperate Karen was. Mike warned us to stay focused. "She's trying to distract you," he said. "Keep the high ground." So we did, finalizing our presentation, with slides of the yacht's title, Karen's financial records, and neighbor testimonies. The fight was coming, and we were ready to make her regret stepping foot on Sea Haven. The fight for Sea Haven was consuming our lives, but it was also forging something stronger, a sense of purpose. After getting Karen's family off the yacht, I thought we'd won a battle, but it was clear the war was far from over. Karen's latest stunt, an HOA lawyer poking around my boat, had backfired. But she wasn't slowing down. She doubled her efforts, flooding the neighborhood with emails about maintaining Bayview's prestige and painting me as a reckless boat owner endangering the marina. Her words stung, especially when I overheard a neighbor at the grocery store muttering about that guy with the junky yacht. Sarah noticed the toll it was taking. "They're just scared of her," she said, squeezing my hand. "We've got truth on our side." But truth wasn't enough. We needed strategy, allies, and a knockout punch. Lily, usually so quiet lately, piped up at dinner. "Dad, you always say fix what's broken. Fix this." Her words hit like a spark. This wasn't just about the yacht anymore. It was about showing her that standing up to bullies mattered. Mike, our lawyer, was all in. He'd reviewed the HOA financials Mr. Patel sent and found more red flags. Over $10,000 in payments to Coastal Consulting, a company registered to Karen's brother, with no clear services rendered. "This could be embezzlement," Mike said, his voice grim. "If we present this at the HOA meeting, it's game over." But we had to be careful. Karen had loyalists, and a wrong move could make us look like the aggressors. We decided to pair the financial bombshell with undeniable proof of my yacht's ownership. I dug through the marina's records, pulling every document, the purchase agreement, the slip lease, even emails from the previous owner confirming Sea Haven was private property. Dave, the marina manager, signed an affidavit stating the HOA had no jurisdiction over my slip. It was a legal fortress, and I felt a flicker of hope. The group chat was buzzing. Our Marina Unity Night had lit a fire under the neighbors, and our recall petition now had 35 signatures, well over the 24 needed. Rosa took charge, organizing a door-to-door campaign to spread the word. She was a force, her nurse's calm masking a fierce resolve. "Karen fined me for my roses," she told neighbors. "But Ethan's yacht? That's theft." Tim and Jess designed flyers with a simple message. "Take back Bayview. Vote for change." Mr. Patel crunched numbers, showing how Karen's consulting fees had inflated HOA dues by 15% over 2 years. The evidence was mounting, but so was the tension. Karen's allies started a whisper campaign, claiming I was tearing the community apart. One night, someone egged our mailbox. Sarah cleaned it up before Lily saw, but her silence spoke volumes. "We're in too deep to quit," she said. I nodded, but the stress was eating at us. Late-night arguments over legal fees, Lily's grades slipping as she worried about the fight. Karen kept pushing. She sent an HOA notice demanding I relocate Sea Haven to a less visible slip, citing community complaints. I checked with Dave. No complaints existed. It was another lie, but it galvanized our group. We planned a second event, a Bayview Boat Bash at the marina, open to all residents. The goal was to show unity and gather last-minute support before the HOA meeting. We'd host it on the public dock, not my slip, to avoid her rules. Dave got us a permit, and Jess rallied neighbors to bring food, music, and boats for a flotilla-style party. "Let's show Karen we're not afraid," she said. The chat exploded with ideas, kids face-painting, a potluck, even a speech about the recall. Lily got excited, sketching a banner that read, "Our Marina, our rules." Seeing her smile again was worth every sleepless night. The boat bash was a hit. Over 40 people showed up, their boats bobbing in the marina under a blazing sun. Kids splashed in the shallows, adults swapped stories, and Rosa passed out flyers. I spoke briefly, holding up Sea Haven's title. "This is my family's dream," I said, voice cracking. Karen tried to take it, just like she's taken from so many of us. "Let's vote her out." The crowd cheered, and even a few of Karen's loyalists looked uneasy. But she wasn't there. Dave said she'd been warned by the marina to stay away after her family's trespassing. Instead, she sent a lackey, a guy named Carl, who lurked at the edge, taking photos. "She's building a case," Mike warned. "Stay sharp." We did, keeping the event legal and peaceful. By the end, we had 40 signatures. The meeting was in 3 days, and we were ready. Karen's next move was desperate. She filed a complaint with the town, claiming Sea Haven was an environmental hazard due to its state of disrepair. A town inspector visited, a no-nonsense woman who laughed when she saw the yacht. It's fixable. No violations here." She left, but Karen's complaint cost us $200 in inspection fees. It was a low blow, hitting our already tight budget. Sarah was furious, pacing the kitchen. "She's trying to bleed us dry." I felt the same, but Mike had a plan. "Use this," he said. "Show the meeting how she's wasting community resources on personal vendettas." We added the inspector's report to our presentation, along with a slide showing Karen's complaint was baseless. It was another nail in her coffin. The night before the meeting, we rehearsed. Mike would present the legal case, my yacht's ownership and the HOA's overreach. Mr. Patel would break down the financials, showing Karen's questionable payments. Rosa would share neighbor testimonies, humanizing the fight. I'd open with a personal plea. tying it to my family, to Lily's dreams. But doubt crept in. What if Karen twisted the narrative? She was good at playing the victim, rallying her clique with tales of community spirit. I barely slept, haunted by the thought of losing, not just the yacht, but the trust of our neighbors. Lily sensed it, slipping a drawing under my door. Sea havens sailing under a bright sky, our family smiling on deck. "We'll win, Dad," she wrote. I clutched it, vowing to make it true. As the meeting loomed, Karen made one last play. She emailed the neighborhood, announcing a compromise. I could keep Sea Haven if I paid a $2,000 restoration fee to the HOA. It was extortion, plain and simple. Mike laughed. She's panicking. This just proves she knows she's wrong. We sent a group chat message, urging everyone to reject her offer and show up to vote. The response was overwhelming. Texts of support, promises to attend. Rosa reported that even one of Karen's loyalists was wavering, tired of her antics. The marina felt alive with defiance, and for the first time, I believed we could topple her. But it wouldn't be easy. Karen was a fighter, and we were about to face her on her own turf. The days leading up to the HOA meeting felt like we were gearing up for a showdown. Every moment was charged with anticipation, like the air before a thunderstorm. Karen's last-ditch compromise offer, a $2,000 restoration fee to keep Sea Haven, had only fueled our resolve. I showed the email to Sarah, who scoffed. "She's trying to buy her way out of this mess," she said, tossing it onto the kitchen counter. Lily overheard, her face hardening. "She can't just charge us for our own boat, right, Dad?" I ruffled her hair, forcing a smile. "Not a chance, kiddo. We're ending this." But inside, I was nervous. Karen had a knack for manipulation, and the HOA meeting was her stage. We had the evidence, the yacht's title, the marina lease, the shady financials, but winning would take more than facts. We needed to sway hearts, show Bayview Shores that Karen's reign was hurting everyone, not just us. Mike, our lawyer, was relentless, refining our presentation like a general planning a battle. We met at Rosa's house, her living room cluttered with coffee mugs and laptops. Mr. Patel had organized the financial evidence into a damning timeline. $12,000 in payments to Coastal Consulting over 3 years, with no contracts or receipts. "It's not just suspicious," he said, adjusting his glasses. "It's a pattern." Rosa added neighbor testimonies, written statements from 15 households about Karen's fines and harassment. Tim and Jess created a slideshow, pairing photos of Sea Haven with the yacht's title and marina documents. I practiced my opening, a personal story about why the yacht mattered. My dad teaching me to fix engines, passing that love to Lily, and how Karen's intrusion had stolen that joy. "Make them feel it," Mike coached. "Facts win arguments, emotions win votes." But Karen was fighting back. She plastered the neighborhood with flyers, claiming the recall vote was a hostile takeover by disgruntled residents who wanted to lower property values. She even held an emergency HOA Q&A at her house, inviting her loyalists to rally support. Tim, who'd gone undercover to listen, reported back, "She's saying you're a squatter, Ethan, and Sea Haven's a hazard. Half the room bought it." My stomach dropped. Karen's core group, about 10 households, were older residents who valued her order and feared change. If they turned out in force, our 40 signatures might not be enough. The HOA bylaws required a 2/3 majority to recall the board, meaning we needed 40 of the 60 homes to vote yes. It was tight, and doubt gnawed at me. What if we fell short? The stress was wearing us thin. Sarah was short-tempered, snapping when I forgot to pick up groceries. Lily spent hours in her room, her yacht sketches untouched. I wasn't sleeping, haunted by visions of Karen gloating at the meeting, her allies clapping like trained seals. But our group chat kept us grounded. Jess posted a photo of her dog, once fined for barking, with the caption, "Freedom's coming, buddy." Rosa shared a story about a neighbor who'd paid $300 for unapproved window blinds. The anger was a glue, binding us together. We decided to counter Karen's Q&A with a final push. A Bayview Freedom Rally the night before the meeting. We'd hold it at the marina's public pavilion, open to all, with food, music, and a chance to sign the petition. Lily designed a new banner. Our homes, our rights. Her excitement gave me hope, but I knew Karen would try to sabotage it. Sure enough, the day before the rally, Karen sent an HOA email blast warning that unauthorized gatherings could lead to fines and legal consequences. She even called the town, claiming our event needed a special permit we didn't have. But Dave, the marina manager, had our back. He'd secured a permit weeks ago, and the town clerk shut Karen down. "She's desperate," Dave said, grinning. "Keep pushing." We printed more flyers, emphasizing the rally was on public property, and Rosa recruited neighbors to bring desserts and speakers. Tim set up a playlist of beach tunes, and Mr. Patel prepared a short speech about the financials. I spent the day cleaning Sea Haven, scrubbing Karen's family's mess, cigarette butts, sticky soda stains. It felt like reclaiming our dream, but every scratch on the deck was a reminder of what we'd lost. The rally was a triumph. Over 50 people showed up, spilling across the pavilion under a pink sunset. Kids ran around with glow sticks, adults shared stories, and a local guitarist strummed Jimmy Buffett covers. I stood on a picnic table, holding Lily's banner. "This fight's for all of us," I said, voice steady despite my nerves. "Karen's taken our money, our peace, even my family's yacht. Let's vote her out tomorrow." The cheers were deafening, and 3 more neighbors signed the petition, bringing us to 43. But Carl, Karen's lackey, was there, snapping photos and muttering into his phone. "She's planning something," Sarah whispered. I nodded, my gut twisting. Karen wasn't going down without a fight. That night, we got a nasty surprise. A new HOA notice claiming Sea Haven violated marina safety codes and demanding its removal within 72 hours. Attached was a photo of the yacht, doctored to look worse. Rust exaggerated, the deck littered with fake debris. "This is fraud," Mike said, furious. "She's tampering with evidence." He added it to our presentation, a slide titled, "Karen's Lies." But the notice rattled me. If we lost the vote, she could push this through, and we'd lose the yacht for good. Sarah saw my panic and grabbed my hand. "We've got this, Ethan. The neighbors are with us." But as I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the fear. Karen had power, connections, and a ruthless streak. The meeting was tomorrow, and it felt like everything. Our yacht, our home, our family's future was on the line. We spent the final hours preparing. Mike rehearsed his legal arguments, emphasizing the HOA's lack of jurisdiction over Sea Haven. Rosa printed neighbor testimonies, highlighting Karen's fines and threats. Tim and Jess made posters with photos of the yacht and the words, "Our freedom, not her rules." Lily helped, her hands steady as she glued photos to foam boards. "We're gonna win, right, Dad?" she asked. I hugged her, hiding my doubt. "Yeah, kid, we're gonna win." But as we loaded the car with our materials, I saw Karen's SUV drive by, slow and deliberate. She didn't stop, but her message was clear. She was watching. The marina, once our escape, was now a battleground. And the HOA meeting would be our Alamo. We had the truth, the evidence, and a growing army of neighbors. But would it be enough to topple Karen's empire? The morning of the HOA meeting dawned with a heavy gray sky, the kind that promised rain but held off just to keep you on edge. My stomach was a knot as I loaded our presentation materials into the car, posters, laptops, a stack of neighbor testimonies. Sarah was quiet, sipping coffee, her eyes scanning the group chat for last-minute updates. Lily, usually glued to her phone, was helping tape photos to foam boards, her face set with a determination I hadn't seen since we started this fight. "We're gonna show her, Dad," she said, taping a picture of Sea Haven next to the yacht's title. Her faith kept me grounded, but the weight of the day was crushing. Tonight, at the Bayview Shores Community Center, we'd face Karen in front of the entire neighborhood. Our evidence was airtight: the yacht's ownership papers, marina lease, and damning financial records. But Karen was a master at twisting truth. If we didn't sway 2/3 of the 60 households, she'd stay in power, and Sea Haven could be lost. Mike met us at the community center early, his suit crisp, but his eyes tired. "This is it, Ethan," he said, setting up the projector. "Hit them with the story first. Your family, the yacht, why it matters. Then I'll bring the legal hammer." Rosa arrived with a box of printed testimonies, her nurse's calm masking a fire. "People are coming," she said. "I've got 10 neighbors confirmed, and more are texting." Mr. Patel was already there, organizing his financial slides, muttering about Karen's consulting payments. Tim and Jess hung posters around the room, each one a jab at Karen's overreach. "Our homes, not her rules," next to a photo of my yacht. The room smelled of old carpet and anticipation, the folding chairs filling fast as neighbors trickled in. By 6:45 p.m., over 50 people were seated, a mix of our allies and Karen's loyalists, their whispers buzzing like static. Karen strode in at 7:00 sharp, her heels clicking, a clipboard under her arm like a shield. Her smile was all teeth, but I caught the flicker of nerves in her eyes. She opened with a speech, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Bayview Shores is a community of standards," she said, gesturing to a slideshow of pristine lawns and docked boats. "Some residents," her eyes flicked to me, "threaten our values with neglected property and reckless behavior. This recall is a divisive attack." A few of her supporters clapped, but the room was tense, eyes darting to us. I felt Sarah's hand on my arm, steadying me. It was our turn. I stepped to the podium, heart hammering, and started with the truth. "This yacht," I said, pointing to a slide of Sea Haven, "is my family's dream. My daughter Lily helped plan its restoration. My wife, Sarah, budgeted every penny we saved. But Karen's family moved in, treated it like their own, and damaged it." I showed photos of the mess, beer cans, scratched wood, and held up the yacht's title. "This is my property and my private slip. The HOA has no power here, but Karen fined us, harassed us, and lied." The room murmured, and I saw nods from neutral faces. Then I hit the emotional core. My dad taught me to fix things, to build something lasting. I want that for my daughter. Karen's stealing that from us, just like she's taken from so many of you. Mike took over, projecting the marina lease and bylaws. "The HOA has no jurisdiction over private vessels," he said, voice sharp. "Karen's actions are trespassing, plain and simple." He clicked to the financials, showing $12,000 in payments to Coastal Consulting. "These are your dues," funneled to a company tied to Karen's brother. No receipts, no justification. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Rosa stood, reading testimonies. "Karen fined me $300 for my roses," she said. "Another neighbor lost $500 for a fence. She's not protecting us. She's bullying us." Tim and Jess shared their story of fines for their dog, their voices shaking with anger. The room was electric, neighbors shifting, whispering, some glaring at Karen. Karen leapt up, her face flushed. "This is slander!" she shouted, banging the podium. "I've kept this community beautiful for years. Ethan's yacht is a hazard, and this recall is a personal vendetta." But her voice cracked, and the room wasn't buying it. Mr. Patel stood, holding up bank statements. "I've audited HOAs for decades," he said calmly. "These payments are irregular. We deserve answers." A woman in the back, one of Karen's allies, stood and yelled, "You're tearing us apart!" But another neighbor, a quiet guy named Dan, countered, "No, Karen's the one fining us for nothing." The room erupted, voices overlapping, anger, frustration, years of resentment boiling over. The vote was called. My heart pounded as ballots were passed out. Sarah gripped my hand, her nails digging in. Lily, sitting with Jess, gave me a thumbs up, but her eyes were wide with worry. One by one, neighbors marked their votes. The room silent except for the scratch of pens. Mike leaned over, whispering, "We've got this." But I wasn't sure. Karen's loyalists were huddled, glaring at us. If we didn't hit 40 votes, she'd stay, and Sea Haven would be her next target. The ballots were collected, and the HOA secretary, a neutral older woman named Linda, counted them slowly. My pulse roared in my ears. When she stood, her voice was steady. 42 votes for recall. 15 against! The room exploded in cheers. Karen's face went pale, her clipboard slipping to the floor. As the crowd swarmed us, thanking us, Karen slipped out the back, her heels echoing in the chaos. We'd done it. Her board was out, and new elections were set for next week. Rosa hugged me, tears in her eyes. "We're free," she said. But I knew it wasn't over. Karen would regroup, and Sea Haven still needed repairs. That night, as we drove home, Lily grinned. "We won, Dad!" I smiled, but my mind was on the yacht, the scratches, the fight still ahead. We'd taken down Karen's power, but the real victory, restoring our dream, wasn't complete. The marina was quiet under the cloudy sky. Sea Haven waiting for us. Tomorrow we'd start fixing her, but tonight we'd celebrate. The morning after the HOA meeting, the air felt lighter, like a storm had passed. Sarah and I stood on our porch, sipping coffee, watching the sun glint off the marina in the distance. The recall vote, 42 to 15, was a victory, but it didn't erase the scars. Sea Haven sat in its slip, still bearing the marks of Karen's family's intrusion. Scratched wood, a broken cabinet, the faint stink of cigarettes. Lily was already at the kitchen table, sketching new ideas for the yacht's interior, her enthusiasm creeping back. "We're fixing her up now, right, Dad?" she asked, pencil flying. I nodded, but my chest was tight. The fight had drained us. Legal fees, sleepless nights, the strain on our family. Karen was out as HOA president, but she wasn't gone from Bayview Shores, and I knew she'd leave a parting shot. Still, the cheers from last night's meeting echoed in my mind. We'd rallied a community, toppled a tyrant. Now, it was time to reclaim our dream. I headed to the marina with my toolbox, Lily tagging along, her sketchbook tucked under her arm. The yacht looked worse in daylight. Scuff marks on the deck, a cracked porthole, trash stuffed in a corner. My anger flared, but Lily's voice cut through. "It's fixable, Dad, like you always say." She was right. I'd rebuilt engines, patched cars. This was just another project. We started cleaning, scrubbing the deck with brushes and soapy water. Neighbors stopped by, drawn by the news of Karen's defeat. Rosa brought lemonade, her smile wide. "You did it, Ethan," she said. "The whole neighborhood's talking." Tim and Jess dropped off a new rope for the dock, a small gesture that felt huge. Even Dave, the marina manager, swung by, offering to waive a month's slip fee. "You've earned it," he said. The support was humbling, but it also reminded me how much Karen had hurt Bayview. This wasn't just our fight anymore. Mike called with an update. The new board, Rosa, Mr. Patel, and a neighbor named Claire, had been elected at the meeting's close, and they were already moving fast. They'd repealed Karen's marina aesthetic rules, confirming Sea Haven was untouchable. Mike was also pushing our civil suit against Karen for trespassing and property damage. "We've got photos, footage, and witness statements," he said. "She'll settle, or we'll bury her in court." I wanted her to pay, not just for the yacht, but for the stress. Lily's quiet days, Sarah's sleepless nights, the way I doubted myself. But Mike warned she might countersue, claiming defamation from our financial accusations. "She's got no case," he said, "but she'll try to drag it out." The thought of more legal bills made my stomach churn. Our savings were nearly gone, and every repair to Sea Haven would stretch us thinner. Karen didn't vanish quietly. By midweek, her SUV was spotted cruising the marina, her glare icy as she passed my slip. She'd sent a letter to the new board, claiming she'd been unfairly targeted and demanding a public apology. Rosa laughed it off, but I wasn't so sure. Karen's loyalists, about a dozen holdouts, were still vocal, posting on the neighborhood's online forum about reckless rebels ruining Bayview. One post called me out by name, accusing me of squatting on the yacht. Sarah saw it and slammed her laptop shut. "They're just bitter," she said, but her voice shook. Lily overheard, her face falling. "Are we in trouble again, Mom?" Sarah hugged her tight. "No, honey. We won." But the tension lingered, like a bruise that wouldn't heal. We threw ourselves into fixing Sea Haven. I started with the porthole, replacing the cracked glass with help from a YouTube tutorial. Lily sanded the deck scratches, humming as she worked, her optimism infectious. Sarah budgeted for new wiring, cutting back on groceries to make it fit. Neighbors pitched in. Mr. Patel brought sandpaper. Tim offered his power tools. It felt like the community was healing alongside the yacht. But every step forward came with a reminder of Karen's damage. The broken cabinet needed custom parts, costing $300 we didn't have. The cigarette smell clung to the upholstery, forcing us to rip it out. Each expense was a gut punch, but quitting wasn't an option. I'd promised Lily we'd sail by summer, and I meant to keep that promise. The new board's first meeting was a breath of fresh air. Rosa chaired it, her voice calm but firm. They announced a financial audit, targeting Karen's consulting payments. Neighbors cheered, and even a few of Karen's old allies looked uneasy. Mr. Patel presented early findings. $15,000 in questionable expenses, including a landscaping charge for Karen's own backyard. "We're turning this over to the state," he said. The room buzzed with approval. I spoke briefly, thanking everyone for supporting Sea Haven. "This yacht's our family's dream," I said. "We're fixing it, and we're not letting anyone take it again." The applause felt like a warm wave, washing away months of doubt. But Karen had one last trick. A week after the meeting, I got a notice from the town, a new complaint about Sea Haven's environmental impact, claiming it was leaking oil. I rushed to the marina, heart pounding, but found no leaks, just a smear of motor oil on the dock, suspiciously fresh. Dave confirmed it wasn't from my yacht. "She's playing dirty," he said, shaking his head. Mike filed a counter-complaint, accusing Karen of filing false reports. The town dismissed her claim, but it cost us another $150 in fees. Sarah was livid, pacing our kitchen. "She's like a cockroach. She just won't quit." I felt the same, but Mike's words echoed, "Stay the course. She's running out of moves." By the end of the week, Sea Haven was starting to look like ours again. The deck gleamed, the porthole was fixed, and Lily had painted a small anchor on the helm, her signature touch. Neighbors kept stopping by, offering help or just moral support. One, a retiree named Ellen, brought us a homemade pie. "I was scared to speak up before," she said. "You gave us courage." Her words hit hard. This fight had cost us money, time, peace, but it had built something too. A community that wouldn't bow to bullies. As I watched Lily sketch new cushions under the marina's sunset, I felt a spark of hope. Karen was down but not out. The yacht was ours, but not whole. The real victory was coming, and we'd earn it, one repair at a time. The weeks after the HOA meeting felt like we were finally breathing again, but the air still carried a faint whiff of Karen's lingering influence. Sea Haven was starting to look like a yacht again, not just a battleground. The deck shone from Lily's sanding, the new porthole gleamed, and the cigarette stink was fading with every scrub. Sarah and I were pouring every spare dollar into repairs, stretching our budget to the breaking point. But seeing Lily's smile as she painted a second anchor on the helm made it worth it. "She's gonna be beautiful, Dad," she said, paint smudged on her cheek. I hugged her, feeling the weight of our fight ease just a little. But Karen wasn't done. Her SUV still cruised by the marina, her glare a reminder that she hadn't accepted defeat. The new board was moving fast, and the neighborhood was rallying. But I knew she'd try one last desperate move to save face. This wasn't over until Sea Haven was fully ours, sailing under a clear sky. The restoration was slow, but steady. I tackled the wiring next, spending evenings untangling a rat's nest of corroded cables. Lily helped, holding a flashlight and asking questions about circuits, her curiosity a mirror of my own at her age. Sarah sourced secondhand upholstery from a marine salvage shop, saving us hundreds. Neighbors kept showing up. Rosa with homemade tacos, Tim with a borrowed sander, Mr. Patel with a lead on cheap engine parts. Their support was a lifeline, especially as our bank account dwindled. The broken cabinet was still a problem. Custom parts were back-ordered, costing us $400 and weeks of delay. Every setback stung, a reminder of Karen's family's reckless stay. I'd catch Sarah staring at receipts, her brow furrowed. "We'll make it work," she'd say, but her voice was tight. The fight had bonded us, but it had also exposed our cracks. Late-night bickering over money, my guilt over dragging us into this mess. The new HOA board was a game-changer. Rosa, Mr. Patel, and Claire met weekly, posting transparent minutes online. They'd launched a full audit of Karen's finances, uncovering $18,000 in questionable payments, including a maintenance fee to a company that didn't exist. "We're referring this to the State Attorney General," Rosa announced at a community meeting. Neighbors cheered, and even Karen's old allies stayed quiet. The board also passed a new rule: no HOA oversight of private marina slips, protecting Sea Haven for good. I spoke at the meeting, thanking everyone. "You didn't just save our yacht," I said. "You saved our community." The applause was warm, but I saw a few empty chairs, Karen's loyalists still holding out. She wasn't there, but her absence felt heavy, like a storm cloud on the horizon. Sure enough, Karen struck back. A week later, I found a new HOA notice taped to Sea Haven's hatch, a $2,500 fine for unreported structural changes, claiming my porthole repair violated bylaws. It was nonsense. The new board had repealed those rules, but it came from Karen's personal stationery, not the HOA. I showed it to Mike, who laughed bitterly. "She's rogue now, acting like she's still in charge." He advised ignoring it, but warned she might try to lien our house. "She's got no legal ground, but she's banking on scaring you." Sarah was furious, crumpling the notice. "She's pathetic." But Lily overheard, her face pale. "Can she take our house, Dad?" I hugged her, promising she couldn't, but my heart raced. We'd beaten her in the vote, but she was still clawing for control. Mike pushed our civil suit harder, adding the fake notice to our case. We had evidence: photos of the yacht's damage, Karen's family's trash, Kyle's littering video. Neighbors offered affidavits, confirming her harassment. Rosa shared a story of Karen fining her for unapproved roses, forcing her to skip a medical bill. Tim and Jess documented their dog fines, which had pushed them to the edge of moving. The case was strong, But legal fees were bleeding us dry. $3,000 already, with more looming. Sarah and I argued one night, voices low so Lily wouldn't hear. "We can't afford this, Ethan," she whispered. "What if we lose everything?" I felt the same fear, but quitting wasn't an option. "We're close," I said. "She's crumbling." To keep morale up, we hosted a small yacht progress party at the marina. About 30 neighbors came, bringing food and folding chairs. Lily showed off her painted anchors, beaming as people clapped. I gave a tour of Sea Haven, pointing out the fixed porthole and sanded deck. "This is what we're fighting for," I said, voice thick. "Our dreams, our rights." Rosa raised a glass. "To no more Karens." The laughter was healing, but Carl, Karen's lackey, lurked nearby taking photos. "She's still watching," Tim muttered. I nodded, my resolve hardening. We'd invited the whole neighborhood, even her allies, to show we weren't hiding. 3 more signed our petition for the state investigation, bringing us to 46 signatures. Karen's final jab came days later. A letter to the marina, claiming Sea Haven was abandoned and should be towed. Dave laughed it off, tossing it in the trash. "She's got no pull here," he said. But the letter spooked Sarah, who started double-checking our locks at night. Lily stopped sketching, her worry back. I felt the weight of it all. The yacht, the lawsuit, the community's hopes. Mike called with good news. Karen's brother's company had no license, strengthening our fraud case. "She'll settle soon," he said. "She can't afford a trial." I hoped he was right. But as I worked on Sea Haven's wiring under the stars, I couldn't shake the feeling that Karen had one last card to play. The yacht was coming together, but so was her desperation. We were close to victory, but the final push would test us all. The fight for Sea Haven had stretched us to our limits, but as summer faded into a crisp September, I could see the finish line. The yacht was starting to look like ours again. Deck sanded smooth, porthole fixed, wiring mostly sorted. Lily's painted anchors gleamed on the helm, a quiet reminder of why we'd fought so hard. Sarah was budgeting like a general, squeezing every penny to cover repairs, but the strain showed in her tired eyes. The new HOA board, Rosa, Mr. Patel, and Claire, was dismantling Karen's legacy, repealing her petty rules, and pushing the state investigation into her shady finances. But Karen's last letter, claiming Sea Haven was abandoned, hung over us like a shadow. She was out of power, but not out of tricks. I knew she'd try one final blow to save face, and as we prepped for the civil suit, I braced for it. This wasn't just about the yacht anymore. It was about proving bullies like Karen don't win. Mike, our lawyer, was confident. The civil suit against Karen for trespassing, property damage, and emotional distress was airtight. Photos of her family's mess, Kyle's littering video, neighbor affidavits. He'd added her fake abandoned claim to the case, arguing it was harassment. "She's cornered," he said over coffee at our kitchen table. "Her brother's company is under investigation, and she can't afford a trial." He estimated a settlement could cover our repair costs, maybe $5,000, and legal fees. But money wasn't the point. I wanted Karen to admit she was wrong, to feel the weight of her actions. Sarah agreed, but her voice was weary. "I just want this over, Ethan. For Lily." Our daughter was back to sketching, but her drawings had a new edge. Dark waves under Sea Haven, like the storm we'd weathered. The marina was alive with support. Neighbors stopped by daily, some helping with repairs, others just offering kind words. Rosa brought her grandson to see the yacht, and he ran his hands over Lily's anchors, wide-eyed. "You're making it awesome," he said. Lily beamed, and for a moment, I saw the kid who dreamed of sailing with us. Tim and Jess dropped off new cushions they'd sewn, a gift that saved us $200. Mr. Patel sourced a used cabinet door, cutting our repair costs. Dave, the marina manager, installed a new lock on our slip gate, free of charge. "No more Karens," he said, winking. The community's warmth was a balm, but it couldn't erase the financial hit. $4,000 in legal fees, $200 in yacht repairs, and counting. Every dollar hurt, but every neighbor's smile made it bearable. Karen's final move came a week later, as predictable as it was desperate. A process server showed up at our door with a countersuit, claiming we'd defamed her by spreading lies about her finances. It was laughable. Her brother's company was under state scrutiny, and our evidence was rock solid, but it was meant to intimidate. Sarah read the papers, her face pale. She's trying to scare us into dropping the suit. Lily overheard, clutching her sketchbook. She can't win, right, Dad? I hugged her, my voice steady despite my racing heart. She won't. Mike filed a motion to dismiss, calling her suit frivolous, and pushed for an expedited settlement. She's bluffing, he said, but stay vigilant. That night, I checked the marina camera and saw Karen's SUV idling nearby, her silhouette staring at Sea Haven. It was creepy, but it fueled my resolve. The settlement came faster than expected. 2 days before the court date, Karen's lawyer called Mike, offering $6,000 to drop the suit and sign a non-disclosure agreement. Mike laughed. "No NDA," he said. "She pays, and we walk." After tense negotiations, she agreed. $7,500, covering most of our repairs and half our legal fees. No apology, but the money was a victory. Mike filed the dismissal, and the case was done. Karen's countersuit was thrown out, her claims shredded by our evidence. The state's investigation into her finances was ongoing. With whispers, she might face charges. She put her house on the market the next week, a for sale sign appearing like a white flag. Neighbors texted the group chat, joking about throwing a party when she left. Sea Haven's restoration was nearly complete. The cabinet was fixed, the upholstery replaced, and the engine hummed after a $500 overhaul. Lily and I painted the hull a crisp white, her laughter echoing as we splattered each other. Sarah hung new curtains in the saloon, her touch making it a home. We planned a maiden voyage for October, a short trip with Lily at the helm, just the three of us. Neighbors wanted in, offering to bring food for a dockside celebration after. Rosa called it Bayview's Freedom Sail. The marina felt alive again. Boats bobbing, kids playing. No HOA notices taped to hulls. But the emotional scars lingered. Sarah and I talked late one night, her head on my shoulder. "Was it worth it?" she asked. I thought of Lily's sketches, the neighbors' support, the yacht waiting for us. "Yeah," I said. "It was. The day of the voyage was perfect. Clear skies, a gentle breeze." Lily steered Sea Haven out of the slip, her hands steady, Sarah cheering from the deck. I watched the marina fade, the weight of months lifting. We'd fought for this, our dream, our family, our community. Karen was gone, her power broken, her house empty. Bayview was ours again, not just in rules, but in spirit. As Lily navigated, I saw my dad in her focus, the legacy I'd wanted to pass on. We'd rebuilt more than a yacht. We'd rebuilt our hope. What's your story of standing up to a bully? Have you faced a Karen and won? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your triumph.